This is a video for the quadratics module, and in this video we're looking at section Quad D. In this section we're looking at factorizing quadratics and the special cases. Now factorization is one method used to manipulate expressions. To factorize an expression is to write it as a product of smaller expressions, so it's the reverse of expanding brackets. Therefore, for the special cases previously mentioned, we have difference of squares, square of a sum, square of a difference, and all I've done is written them around the opposite way. So we're starting with the expanded expression and then we're factorising. In each of the special cases, the first term and the final term are both squares. Now when factorising, it's important to first check if there is any common factor to all the terms in the expressions. If there is, then this should be factored out first. Also remember that 1 is 1 squared. So here are some examples. It says factorise using special case rules. So the first one is x squared minus 6x plus 9. So you can think of that as being x squared minus 2 lots of 3 times x and then plus 3 squared. So you can see that this can be factorised using square of a difference. Okay? My two terms are going to be 3 and x. So I can and also we have a minus. That's why it's a square of a difference. So it's going to be x minus 3 all squared. Okay? The next one, we've only got two terms, 4x squared minus 9. So we should be thinking about difference of squares. 4x squared I can rewrite as 2x all squared, and 9 I can rewrite as 3 squared. So using difference of squares, this would be 2x minus 3, 2x plus 3. Okay? And you can always check once you've factorised, expand it out again and make sure you're right. Now in the next one, if we look at all our terms, 2, 20 and 50, 2 goes into all of those, so we're going to bring a number 2 out the front, so bringing out a common factor. So 2 times what is 2x squared? It's x squared. 2 times what gives me 20x? It's going to be 10x. 2 times what gives me 50? It's going to be plus 25. Okay, leave the 2 out the front, and now let's manipulate what's in here. I can rewrite that as x squared plus 2 times 5 times x plus 5 squared. So my two terms are 5 and x, and there's a plus, so it is a square of a sum. So this becomes 2 bracket x plus 5 all squared. Okay, let's look at the next one. Only two terms, minus in the middle. So rewrite as 2x all squared minus 6 all squared. It's a difference of squares, and it just becomes 2x minus 6, 2x plus 6. Note, we could also write that as 2x plus 6, 2x minus 6. It's exactly the same way, it's the same thing, it doesn't matter which way we write the brackets. Okay, the next one, 9y all squared minus z squared, minus in the middle, two terms, looking at the difference of squares, can rewrite it as 3y all squared minus z squared. So it becomes 3y minus z, 3y plus z. Okay, next one, 50r squared minus 18. Now, 50 and 18 has a common factor, and in this case the factor is 2. So I can bring the 2 out the front and rewrite it as 2 times what gives me 50r squared, it's 25r squared. 2 times what gives me 18, that's 9. So we've got a difference of squares. It can be rewritten as 5r all squared minus 3 all squared. So that becomes 2 bracket 5r minus 3 bracket 5r plus 3. Okay. Now more on factorising. When quadratics are in the form of ax squared plus bx, so in this case c is 0, there's no constant, the common factor is factored out, so the common factor of x. Okay, so in other words, if I have ax squared plus bx, I bring the x out the front and it just becomes ax plus b. So let's look at some examples of that. Here I have x squared plus 6x, so that x is my factor. X times what gives me x squared, it's x. X times what gives me 6x, that's 6. Okay, next one, 2x squared plus x, common factor of x, bracket, x times what gives me 2x squared, sorry it's 2x. X times what gives me x, it's just plus 1. Okay, next one, 3x squared minus 9x. Now we have x is a common factor in both, but also we have a 3 and a 9, so 3 can also be a factor. So 3x comes out the front. 3x times what gives me 3x squared? It's just x. 3x times x is 3x squared. Minus in the middle. 3x times what gives me 9x? Well, 3 times 3 is 9, and the x is already there. Okay. What now? Well, you've got 2 exercises to complete from the textbook, and that's quad D1 and quad D2. Remember, if you're having any problems, watch the video again and ask for help if you need it.